School Live. Sorry about the delay. We had a little bit trouble connecting over here, but it's so nice to have you back. And on the wait, while we were waiting to get reconnected, we did go ahead and walk our donkeys across the zoo. A nice little bit of exercise for them. Speaking of, if you're ever interested in walking the donkeys yourself, feel free to purchase one of our donkey walking counters. I'm sure that they would love to see you as well. Now, I'm just going to take a moment to introduce us all. My name is Kara. I am one of the educators here at Elmwood Park Zoo.
Hi, and I'm Ian, one of the keepers here at Elmwood Park Zoo.
And so to introduce you to our stars of the show today, we have Jenny right here. She is a miniature donkey. She is 21 years old. We also have directly behind her Pickles, who is a 23-year-old miniature donkey. Now, these guys have been with us since about 2013. We believe they did come from another farm, and now they're spending out the rest of their days with us here, where they get plenty of attention, lots of walks, and plenty of enrichment from all the guests that come through our zoo on a daily basis. So the purpose of our Zoo School Live episode today is to tell you all about how they take care of themselves, as well as how we take care of them here. So first I'll let Ian start off with anything that he might like to add about what he does for their daily care.
Yeah, so hi everybody. I start out my days here at Elmwood Park Zoo taking care of our barn animals. So that includes Pickles and Jenny, our miniature donkeys, as well as 8 goats, 4 Jacob sheep, and 20 chickens, and a couple owls. So our morning starts out by cleaning up all of their waste that they produce during the day. Boy, they're trying to get the fresh grass right now. But it also includes taking care of them with things like brushing them out, which is important because, as Kara's going to talk about later, they do like rolling around in dirt. So we try to brush that out in the mornings so that they can roll around and get that dirt right back on during the day. Then another thing I do every day is pick their hooves. So I don't know if we'll be able to do it now because we're both holding lead ropes, but I would have a hoof pick. Yeah, all right. Yeah, Elise is going to grab a hoof pick so I can demonstrate, hopefully, here. Oh, thank you. All right. So, here is our brush and hoof pick and enrichment, which we'll get to later. So, every day we ask for their hooves, and normally they're pretty good about it. Right now they're on a walk, so I don't know how good she's going to be. But we'll lift up their hoof, and then we'll brush away all of this sand and dirt and poop, which will collect inside their hoof. Now, their hoof is a lot like our fingernail, where they're not going to feel that picking, unless there was something wrong, which is something else we're checking for every day. So when I'm brushing out the hoof, I'll look for any areas where there might be a rock lodged in, or any other signs of distress. So this area, which is the frog, is going to flake and crack and break away and regrow. So that's nothing to be concerned about there. Around the hoof wall here, you can see there's a small little crease. Sometimes that can collect with rocks and small debris, which we'll try to pick out daily. Keeper Lexi picked her hooves this morning, and she did a great job. Good job, Lexi. I give you an A+ for hoof care. This donkey checks out. Back to you, Kara.
All right, so another thing that's really beneficial about picking their hooves every day is if they were to have an infection in one of their feet, you would feel it the second that your hand made contact with the hoof, because there would be a nice warm temperature to it that would not normally be there. So that's another really good line of defense we can get ahead of time if they do have an infection or something is wrong. Now, as Ian mentioned earlier, our donkeys like to roll in dirt. Now, that is very common for donkeys. The reason they're going to do that is they don't really bathe too often. They don't really like to be wet or have water on them. So what they're going to do is they're going to roll around in the dirt, and that layer of dirt that gets all over their coat is going to help protect them from parasites or flies or anything that might want to bug them throughout the day. Now, obviously, that is not something that we want to leave on them on a daily basis, because boy, these guys will get real dirty. And as you can see, Pickles is nice and white. So if you're wondering how we keep him nice and white, that's because they also get brushed every single day. So we have our keepers who come in every single day, and when they're not picking their hooves, they're going to take these nice brushes and brush them out. So that's not only going to help get the dirt off, but another benefit is that in the winter time, they build a real thick coat, and once it's time for them to shed it, they do need a little bit of help shedding that. So these brushes are going to help pull those thick layers right out. So these guys, obviously, another thing we do to make sure they stay nice and healthy is they get a specific allotted amount of diet each day, which I will let Ian introduce to you.
Hi. So in the morning, we feed them a grain substance. So much like if you guys have dog food or cat food at home to eat a crunchy grain specific for their species, these guys eat something specific for their diet. Everything that we feed our animals here in the zoo, we try to... oh, I have some wild herb inside here. Thank you, Elisa. So I can show you. This is wild herbivore. Everything that we give our animals here, we try to balance a diet that would be comparable to what they'd eat in the wild. And you may ask yourself, well, these guys are domestic animals, right? Well, miniature donkeys, unlike most animals that have miniature, like a toy poodle, were not bred specifically to be miniature donkeys. They were their own species. They came from Mediterranean islands of Sicily and Sardinia. And yeah, they were already small. And a definition of a miniature donkey is going to be that their withers, which is going to be right here around their shoulders, can't be over 36 inches tall. So that's a fun fact. From here to the ground is 36 inches or less. And since I'm touching this area, I can show you from a bird's eye view that miniature donkeys also have a cross that goes directly down the top of their back. So that is another indicator that you're looking at a miniature donkey. But back to their diet. So they get the wild herbivore. We give them lettuce, which you can see here, romaine. Today they're getting a special treat of carrots, which I think Pickles just saw. So if you want to hand me a carrot, this is because they're TV stars today. We're going to give them a special little carrot treat. Here you go, Jenny. But they also eat a lot of hay. So every day we give them 3 flakes from a bale of hay. They eat orchard grass and timothy hay, and it probably comes out to about 2 to 3 pounds a day of orchard grass and timothy hay. And they drink a lot of water. As with all animals and life forms, water is a very important part of their living.
All right, so aside from their daily care, I'm sure a few people who are watching might be interested. Do these guys have any specific personality traits that really you can tell them apart aside from their coloration?
Well, yeah, Pickles can have a little bit of attitude. He gets a little bitey sometimes with Jenny. But as far as miniature donkeys go, these guys have a reputation of being the best miniature donkeys ever that anybody's ever worked with. And we're talking, we have farriers come in who've worked with hundreds of miniature donkeys, and they say that none are more docile and calm than Pickles and Jenny. So earlier when I lifted up Jenny's hoof and I showed you how easy it was to work with her, that's not always the case with miniature donkeys. So big shout out to Pickles and Jenny for being the coolest miniature donkeys in the world.
All right. So aside from that, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about adaptations that donkeys in general are going to have. So these guys are going to have long limbs and narrow cupped hooves. Now the reason their body is designed that way is because they're mostly going to be in dry, deserted, but also possibly mountain ranges. So these cupped hooves and long limbs are going to help them to easily and swiftly move through debris, stand on rubble, walk through it, and not have any problems or anything like that. Now another thing about these donkeys is that you're going to see that their coloration is a little bit more subtle. They don't have a lot of black or anything like that on them, and that is to help them camouflage in the wild because they're mostly going to be from desert or mountain ranges, so that tan, grays, browns is going to be naturally what you find them in. Aside from that, we did want to make sure that we saved plenty of time. If anybody had any questions about our donkeys, don't forget that you can add them in the comment box. And if you add them before our video is done, we will be able to answer them live for you. However, if there are not any questions, we can answer them later on. We'll have someone hop onto the computer and answer those for you as well.
So if you guys want to look closely at how donkeys eat, they're grazers, which means they're going to eat lots of grass and plants. And you can see that their lips are super strong. So they're using their lips to grab hold of chunks of grass. Then their teeth are built to just cut it like a scissor. Look at that. So they're using their lips to get those big chunks in. And then they're just cutting it with those flat front teeth. Amazing, Pickles and Jenny. Look at your super strong lips.
Dennis doesn't have a question about the donkeys, but he would like to know if the zoo is open today. And Dennis, yes, we are open every day, 7 days a week from 10 to 5. Rose says she loves this. Great information. Thanks so much, Rose. And she has a question of what makes them make their special donkey hee-haw sound. Why do they do that?
Oh, that's a great question. So the hee-haw sound is also known as braying. And these guys, normally they recognize me because I'm the guy who feeds them a lot in the mornings and evenings. So if they see me from across the zoo, they'll make those sounds just to get my attention. So it's normally like, hey, look over here, don't forget to feed me today, which we would never forget to feed them. But in their miniature donkey minds, they think that if they don't yell, they might not get fed. So it's definitely an attention getter.
Another reason that bray in the wild would be to warn off of predators, because these guys do move a little bit slower, and there are usually large amounts of them when they are together. So one of them, as soon as they see something, some form of danger, they're going to bray really loudly to let all of the others who may not be nearby, let them know that there is danger around.
Yeah, and I also have a piece of enrichment here that I wanted to talk about. So a frequently asked question. Oh, good. A frequently asked question is, do the donkeys like playing with enrichment? Enrichment being random toys, objects, sensory, visual things we could add to an exhibit to brighten up the animal's day and stimulate their mind. So here I have a piece of enrichment that they recently started playing with. Before this, they hated enrichment for some reason. Somebody told me, legend has it, that they had a ball pop on them and it scared them. And from then they were like, we don't like balls anymore. I've been trying to slowly reintroduce balls into their world. This is a ball feeder, although it's not a ball, it is labeled a ball feeder. So I've put some of their wild herbivore grain inside of this, inside of that hole. And Pickles has found the carrots. I mean, Jenny found the carrots. So this is something I'll add to their exhibit, where they can hear the grain in there, and as they nose it around, I'll do it since they won't. They'll nose it until that wild herbivore falls out. So that'll keep them active for a while. Great stimulation for their mind and body. But yeah, as far as other enrichment, they're not keen on balls or bowling pins or anything else we might add in there. You see we're out taking them for a walk right now, which is something we like to do on nice days. Kara mentioned earlier that we have a guest experience available where you can purchase, where you get to walk with the miniature donkeys and maybe Kara, maybe myself, and we go tour the zoo and we see not only grass areas, but other animals, which is not only enriching for these guys, but it's enriching for the other animals. So Zach the zebra, for instance, he loves seeing the miniature donkeys. They're part of a very similar, oh, looks like Jenny interacting with the enrichment. Great job. Or getting it out of the way so she could get the grass. But back to donkey walks, nice. All right, I didn't have to demonstrate. These guys like walking around the zoo mainly so they can eat grass, but it's really nice for the other animals too to see some different animals coming through. Even our jaguars, walking through Trail of Jag. Luckily we have a thick pane of glass in between them and the donkeys, so we don't have to worry about their health, but the jaguars definitely enjoy seeing them. The donkeys really don't care too much about the jaguars. They're just looking for the next patch of grass.
Awesome information and awesome demonstration, Ian.
Thanks.
No problem. Jessica would like to know how many babies miniature donkeys can have at one time.
Whew, great question. I'm going to have to research that one. I think it's one, but I'll have to go back and research and get back to you in the comments section.
All right.
I also think it's one. Fingers crossed
yeah.
that we're right.
I know their gestation period is 12 months, but
Wow.
yeah, I do know that, but not how many they could have in there.
Laura would like to know if they have good hearing because she's noticed that their ears are so large.
Yeah, so that's an excellent question and good observation. They do have great hearing, and their ears can move independently, so they can turn them to face whatever direction the sound is coming from. They also do have very soft ears, and I have read that they're extremely touch sensitive. So I read in training and working with them that they can really sense their keeper or handler's tone and mood based on touch. So they know I'm in a very good mood right now, and I would never threat them, so they feel fine with that. But yeah, they have great hearing and great sight too. So donkeys' heads their eyes can see almost all around them. They have a blind spot directly behind, and they have a blind spot directly in front. But other than that, they can see all the way around, and their vision can go monocular and binocular, which means that they can focus on one object or multiple objects on either side, which is really cool. And we are confirmed that they can have one baby per pregnancy.
So great question, Jessica. You stumped our keepers. Laura would also like to know if we clean their teeth here at the zoo.
Good question. So we have a vet staff on site that gives them annual exams, and during those annual exams, they open up their mouth and inspect all their teeth. And luckily, Pickles and Jenny here have been given a clean bill of health without daily brushings. But in the event that they ever had dental issues, we would probably reassess that and maybe then have to brush them regularly. But it's important you guys brush your teeth regularly.
Laura noticed that the sound was muffled, so sorry about that, Laura. I think we fixed that problem. Thank you for letting us know. Lee would like to know if they can come to his lawn and cut his grass.
Yeah, if it's walking distance, Lee, we might make it over there.
And then if you guys could repeat the answer for why donkeys bray, because the sound was muffled. So if you could repeat the reasons for the noise that they make.
Gosh, go ahead, Carol, with the technical, and I'll give them more fun.
Absolutely. So the reason that these guys would be braying out in the wild is going to be because they need to be able to warn each other if there's any danger coming. So if they let out that really loud bray sound, whoever is very far away from them is now aware that there is danger in the area.
But the reason they bray here at Elmwood Park Zoo is because they normally see somebody who feeds them off in the distance. And they're yelling, "Hey, don't forget to feed me tonight," which we never would do, but it does feel like they always have to remind us. And much like our cats and dogs at home, sometimes they try to fib and say they haven't been fed by yelling at the next keeper to walk by.
Brittany made a comment that they are beautiful. Thank you so much,
Thank
Brittany.
you.
They
What about the
absolutely
donkeys?
are.
Oh, just kidding. The donkeys are beautiful.
Oh boy, wow. Brittany would also like if you guys wouldn't mind sharing how old they are.
Yeah, so Pickles here is 23 years old and Jenny is 21. They've been with us since 2013. They were donated from a farm that could no longer take care of them. When they came into our possession, they were a little more overweight than a miniature donkey should be. So we worked hard to establish a good diet to get them down to a good weight. And the miniature donkeys have trouble losing weight. So if you have one and you overfeed it, like Pickles and Jenny were, even with a healthy diet over years, you'll see that their fat calcifies and it ends up staying there for life. So Pickles gets asked a lot if he's pregnant. I try not to let him get too offended by that question. But no, he is not pregnant. And nor will he ever be.
Diana would just like to say she's watching all the way from Tampa, Florida. Thanks for joining us, Diana. That's
Tampa.
awesome.
Hello.
Go Bucks, go Bolts, go Rays.
All right. Did we have any other questions today before we bring these guys back?
Brittany would like to know, and if we mentioned this earlier, I apologize, but if you could say it again, the reason for Pickles and Jenny's names.
So all right, so Jenny is probably just kind of a lazy name pick because male and female miniature donkeys are referred to as Jacks and Jennets. So I feel like Jenny was just a shortened version of Jennet. Pickles, however, as I stated, he lived at a farm where his diet wasn't the best, and I believe pickles were his favorite treat. So he ate a lot of pickles. Not part of his diet now. He seems to be loving the carrots and grass.
And I think that was the last question that we had today, guys.
Wow.
Thank you guys so much for joining us, and thank you again if you stuck around during all of that trouble with trying to get connected to the internet there for a minute. Like we were saying, if you ever want to come walk these guys, don't forget that there is an option if you go online. You can purchase a donkey walk encounter with these guys. But aside from that, if you ever want to just stop by and say hello, they live inside the barn where our goats and sheep and chickens also live. But it was so nice to have you guys here today. Thank you so much for coming by.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.